Oi, oi. Welcome back to the martinliedtke channel. I'm glad you could be here today, guys. Today, I'm going to talk about a major cataclysm that happened less than 500 years ago. A major reset that happened less than 500 years ago. And the clues are wrapped up in this narrative, the narrative of the 1607, a very anomalous date. You can see here, first settlement in Jamestown in America, and apparently Shakespeare adding to the narrative as well to give it some sort of solidification. And what you find is the evidence is proper sketchy. But I think the tsunami definitely happened. In the centre of the city where I live, Cardiff, is the remnants that you can see of St Mary's Church, which was apparently taken out in this tsunami in the centre of Cardiff. Other churches like Llandudno Cathedral and St John's Church, these ancient churches stayed intact. So I'm not sure why that is. But they give us engravings. This little engraving here out of a Monmouthshire pamphlet, as you can see, of 1607, where you can see the 2-meter high tsunami that rushed through South Wales and the other side of the Bristol Channel in Somerset and Avon, killing thousands of people. And it apparently took a generation to recover. But what it did take out, this tsunami, is a load of old Wales architecture. And what I mean by that is a load of old Gothic churches, a load of antiquitech devices, and giant cities that were situated on the South Wales coast of that is today. So this is an anomalous little plaque which gets you scratching your head and wondering what's going on exactly. The tsunami was said to have happened in 1607, the Great Flood. And this is here on a church not far from where I live here, local church in Peterstone in Wentlug, which is northwest of Cardiff. And they say that it reached 1.9 meters high, which is quite high. And in the narrative, it came in like a racehorse, but there was a date occurrence, a date anomaly. It's very complicated. I don't want to read it because it actually gives me a pain in the side of my head. We'll get down to what it is there was a calendar change because of Pope Gregory did a decree, okay, in 1589, authorizing the removal of said years. And then October here, the 15th, followed October the 4th in 1582. See, did it hurt your head? But the point I'm going to make is that Britain found it unpalatable to do that. So they didn't even adopt it till 1752. So 1752 is when the Juliana calendar was fully adopted in Britain. Yeah, this plaque has got 1607 on it. So obviously this plaque has been put up after said change, hasn't it? In 1752. Or we're looking at two different timelines, two different dates. Even in the official narrative, they say there's arguments because there's, if you see here, it says the two dates have led to the event being duplicated in historical catalogues, because there's two dates given because of this anomalous calendar change, which doesn't even come into fruition until a ton of years later across Britain. It's a very confusing state of affairs, but the juice of it is there was a calendar change, the year changed, all sorts of events like America being colonized, and this part of the world, which I think had all civilization in it, was taken out. There's a lot more to the event in this PDF that I downloaded, and I can give it to you. And I give you some of the details, which are the official narrative, but some evidence is to existence. Now, what I find really interesting is when you look at the ley line map. This is the ley line map of Britain. As you can see, there's some major nodage going on. Look at that node interchange. What a powerhouse it must be just to stand there. But as you can see, this blue line here, this ley line, goes almost through my house. I mean, almost through where I'm sitting right now. I'm like there, right, actually just right there on this line. I'm like literally on the ley line. So when my thoughts, my chi thoughts, my chi, go into that ley line, it will travel everywhere, which is why I'm probably in this place where I am in the first place. But what I'm going to show you in a minute, guys, okay, is there is even, I've heard years ago, and I'm sure Wilson and Blackett mentioned this, that along this coast is the existence of an older city and civilization, at Llantwit Major, at Aberford. They call this the Jurassic Coast, but they look like buildings. All the way along this coast look like buildings, even up as far as Penarth. Giant cliffs that just look like walls, and you can see similar things on the other side of the coast. Now, everything here was underwater in 1607, they say, guys, all the way down as far as Glastonbury, which was originally an island, which lays on the St. Michael's line, but right between them two nodes there, them ley lines, was underwater. And I think the attack ley lines, the informational nodes. Imagine all these powerhouses of Wales, these kings of Wales, occupying these great castles in places like Wenvo and Caerphilly, and then all of these cities on the coast, big cities that are still there to see, but they've been smashed by the tide and the flood that happened. Let me exit this mappage. Excuse me. This little ley line mappage. So, okay, excuse me. There you are. So, yeah, Llantwit. Now, I've been here recently, a couple of years ago. The place is mind blowing. They call it the Jurassic Coast, but honestly, a lot of this coast just looks like man made stuff. This is the floor of the beach. It looks like some of the floor that I seen in Venice last weekend. How can that be natural geological formation when it looks like a fitted floor? And you see this everywhere on the South Wales coast. And I even mentioned, when I was a boy, that this looks like a city. And when the tide goes out, you can literally, it's a city. There's cities all along here, guys. These cliffs, okay, these layered, they say, with geological formations over time, millions of years, they say, they look like walls, man. Look at this. They look like old walls. Look at that coin on there. Look at that beautiful right angle there. Right angles. It's like nature's like brilliant at right angles, I must say. So yeah, that looks like a wall up there as well. So yeah, the whole place looks like it's had an apocalyptic event, and it does really look like there was a city there. This is the markers for me: is how can nature do these floors? And look at that. Yeah, it just looks like the ancient world, which we think is ancient world, which you can look at in a little while, which is what they say is the classical world. But look at this wall here. Okay, so you got this beautiful floor, a load of these smashed boulders, which could have been buildings, and then this looks like it's bubbled. But these, look at them. How can that be? How can that be natural when it's a right angle? All these blocks. Wow, God. Well, it is a simulation, so I'll give it that. So yeah, that definitely could be rendered that way. But yeah, also in a lot of antiquity, you see these scutch marks that they say are made by old tracks and old carts. You see them everywhere. There's supposed to be dinosaur footprints in this area, and Bendrix rocks as well, which is just further along the coast. It's called the Jurassic Coast. It's full of fossils. If you take a bucket of water with you, you can see fossils everywhere, apparently. But right here, you get an antique floor, a nice one with chariot wheels across. Maybe. maybe some other tech. Yeah, also on the beach, you can see that they had trees, because that there and that there and that there and that there is a tree stump. Tree stumps on the beach, proving that that beach was not always a beach. It was a beautiful garden, a field with trees. There's your evidence. That's the Llantwit Major evidence. This was recently not looking like that. And what a brilliant way to get rid of Tartaria is by tsunami. They've been doing it all along. I'll give you some examples of tsunamis that have happened. Is Lisbon twice, Port Royal, San Francisco, although that didn't have a tsunami, but it was completely destroyed. But when you get back to let's get rid of that nasty ass globe. Back to Britain, and these ley lines, if I went back to the ley line map, would show you that it rips straight through important sites like Llantwit Major, Cardiff, through Magan Abbey, and up to Caerwent, and they all go through or aim sort towards Caerleon, which is supposed to be a Roman amphitheatre. I actually worked there myself in the past for maybe 3-4 months. Brilliant little job. Also in Caerwent, I worked when I was working in archaeology back in the day. So what we're looking at here is Doggerland, they call it. I've seen it with thine own eyes, and posts as well. It's a large island of sand in the middle of the North Sea. When you're at sea going over to Denmark, you have to go around it, otherwise you run aground. So it's important to not hit it. And there's a few other sandbanks up here as well. So yeah, they're saying ridiculous dates there. I don't ignore all of that completely, and the Ice Age bit as well, because it ended in 2020, so they can F off with that. But isn't it interesting that all of this would have been grasslands, and that you could have walked from Britain all the way to Denmark? So imagine if that was the case, but way more recently, and that there was a terrible apocalyptic floodage, which I just showed you, a 1607 version. I can't give you photographs of the 1607 flood, but I can give you photographs of a flood which happened in 1889 in not Jamestown, but Jonestown, which is quite close name-wise, and is a Tartarian city that's been wiped out by flood. And I could imagine this is what happened to the buildings that were along the South Wales coast, but they would have been more in a classical frame, a bit like Carthage or one of those. But have a look with Gothic, beautiful churches and big megalithic structures. And so yeah, if you can see this building here, looks like it's from Venice. You see? But yeah, the entire city's had a terrible flood which completely wrecked it, and it's been quite well photographed. That's Main Street, 1889 Jamestown flood. So yeah, this happened to my city here apparently 500 years ago. Where I'm sitting now on this important ley line node, a tsunami ripped through, killing like probably everybody and ruining the countryside, killing all the cattle, and it took a generation to heal this place. So, and there was a calendar change as well, and I know there was a comet as well, and I know that there was other weirdness going on, and apparently we were colonizing America all at the same time. Okay, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and then all of these anomalous events which take out a certain type of architecture and peoples, Tartarians. That looks like snow by there, by the way. This is a tree going through a house. Can you imagine that piercing your house? What a fantastic picture. Poof. So yeah, look at that Tartarian building in the background. All that's left in a sea of sticks and mud, just like a mud flood. That old bridge, man. How long's that been there? This is 1889, man. How long's that bridge been there? When did they colonize America exactly? Wow, what a mess. So yeah, they really did capture this event well on photography. Look at the old Tartaria buildings, guys. The old antiquitech. All still on the roofs, look. It looks like it's a little dog. Hope that dog's not dead. Nah, it's having a sniff, isn't it? It's having a sniff of the roof. I hope. Don't cry. This was 100 years ago, plus 30 years ago, guys. I'm sure that he's been born and gone again multiple times in doggy world. So that's a highly effed situation. What if this is the replacement peoples? We don't even know. Maybe they just do that, as well as fire cities. There's a lot of fire there as well, isn't there? Flood and fire. How come there's fire? There's a lot of fire, in fact. Gas lines, gas pipes, oil lamps. So yeah, they do this flooding deliberately, like, guys, because if you think back to 1940s, the dam busters raid, Guy Gibson's daring raid on the dams of the Rouen, and they invented a bouncing bomb, which bounced successfully into the dams, breaking them, and then floodwater came down the valleys, killing many thousands of poor Germans and wrecking a load of antiquity, which looked like antiquity of Tartaria. So there's something going on with that date there, guys. It's a definite marker for me. It's like glitching a matrix. There's a couple of crossovers I can see as well. And they can't work it out. Inconsistency. Let's just blame the Pope's calendar change again. Gregory. That's like scratching your head, because it, like I said, gets rolled out in different places, different times. Yeah, the dates that they got, they say, oh well, that's because it was that date. It's like, yeah, but you didn't roll it out till the 1750s in Britain, so how come? See what I'm saying? And then you got the J's on the dates as well. So you're like, it's like two different entire timelines, two separate 16 fucking hundreds is what I'm trying to say, guys. Look at that. Does that make sense? And they're just editing the matrix. This is what we're looking at here, is the editing of the matrix. As tragic as it possibly is, with people in there somewhere. I'm sure they didn't know anything about it. Look at that Tartarian building, completely smashed. It's a really good image, that one. Oof. Gives you some idea of the scale. And there's the soldiers who are guarding it all, wondering what the hell has happened. They must have been very sinful people, they're saying. And some have survived into the modern day of these Tartarian buildings. I've checked. You can see there's one or two there in the modern day in Jonestown. And it's not the Jonestown cult either. It's just a coincidence. This place got taken out in a mud flood and a flood. And it's the Carthaginian Empire. And these are old 1870s, 1880s photographs of the Carthaginian Empire in Tunisia, which is in the North African coast. As you know, the Carthaginian Empire occupied a good portion all the way up to Barbaria of the North African coast. And they were a classical culture, as you can see, just like Troy or the Greeks or the Romans, which were there as well, because the Romans also occupied this area of Tunisia, or Tunis. So there's so many clues in these photographs, though, guys. Yeah, ruins here, Roman ruins, they say. And the clues are this. Okay, now a lot of the stuff that we see, and this old brickwork here, this old Roman stuff, they say, is underground level. So it's been mud flooded, but there's a load of columns on the ground above the mud, which sort of suggests that the columns that we witnessed there in these pictures fell after the mud flood. You can see the mud coming in here. It collapsed this lintel. The mud came down here, buried this entrance to this tomb of Punniqui. whatever. And the strangest wall, which just looks just like that beach that I just showed you, cliff of, I don't know, are they melded stone? I don't know. Highly peculiar. And a Four Angels temple, Moorish flavour, up on the hill there, which is on ground level, because all of this you see here is underground. Questions? Okay. What we can see here is obviously a load of columns. Where are the tops of the columns? Why are they all different heights? The ones that have snapped off, where are they? See what I mean? Okay. Again, the only way I can think that this has happened is these were all laying down and somebody's put them on these plinths in the modern day, because these pillars could not put up a ceiling because they're all different heights, unless it's a wonky up and downy type of ceiling, which would make no sense really. So these may be laying down and have been put on these plinths because they look like, well, rudimentary plinths. Do you see what I mean? Maybe. It's the only way I can think. And these things here, well, they just on these shitty bases. And this one's like literally buried. So where is the building? And other pillars are just laying down. You know, it's like two different, maybe separate events. Look at this size of these megaliths. Looks just like that beach. Again, a load of columns, okay, but where they've all broke off in a tsunami or apocalyptic event, because Carthage was taken out, same as Troy, in apocalyptic events. Okay. Where are the pillars? They're snapped off. Well, they're not there, are they? Unless they've fallen and grown over with greenery, but they're not there. Maybe one over there, but not really. Not really there. And then this picture. So, okay, these pillars are all laying about. Okay, you can see these holes in there where they all stick together, but they're on the surface. They're on the surface. The plinths are just partially buried. So how are these on the surface? They like literally fell or been put there after the mud flood. Look at that one there. What's going on with that? It's fallen on a wall, and it stayed on a wall for what they're saying is since the Carthaginian Empire of 18,000 years ago in the Bronze Age, for example. The classical era. Look at this. This is in Carthage, and this is in, right, Tunisia. And it looks like it belongs in Salt Lake City, or even in St. Louis. It's the Basilica of St. Louis. Beautiful Moorish building. Look at this antiquitech device. This guy here is checking out a bit of language. We got an X and an M and a T and a leaf. He's a monk. And he's checking out some language of a stone that he's found, or he's showing you, which would probably be a piece of Carthage. This is unusual boxes here, don't know what they are. And the stonework looks relatively new, but look at this for antiquitech. There's wires coming straight out of this. Straight out, wires. Straight to this thing. And straight to another sort of thing sticking in the air too. All made of iron. Straight out of the wall, actually, guys. Antiquitech. Mind blow. So this is Tomb of somebody really interesting, I expect. And this is like, as you can see, this amphitheatre here was below ground level. This is mud, stone, and silt, and everything you see here was obviously in the mud, and they dug it out to most extent, and you can see the pillars are still missing. Where are the pillars gone? The mystery of the pillars. Missing. What is in the background? That's a field. So I hope you've enjoyed my little chat today, and of the tsunami that happened. I think it's a definite marker for a wider apocalyptic event. and a tsunami took out the Carthaginian Empire, and possibly even a plasma apocalyptic type of event at the same time, simultaneously. Look at this. Because things get melted and then they get flooded, I've noticed in some cases. And do I think that there's technologies available that could do that? Yeah, I do. Right, we got a statue they found under the ground in the mud. It actually says that it's a statue, but it is like a mummy. It's like a mummy. It doesn't look like any statue, does it? What the fuck is it? Is it an alien from the film? He's picking the boogies out of his nose. It could be ectoplasm. So, never know. So yeah, all underground, guys. All underground for the apocalypse. Some pillars. You can imagine this thing when it was up and running. It's all come in there, the rock and everything. It's all mud there. It's all come in from the mud flood. So yeah, this garden's still absolutely pucker. I'm gathering they just used the remains of the Carthaginians and they made a beautiful botanical garden, as you can see. It looks very Phoenician to me. Very Phoenician. Large jugs, pillars. That's an interesting square pillar. I seen them in Venice this weekend, but you can see how high the mud is. Again, about 30 foot, I would say. 20, 30 foot. Maybe a bit more, but all of this is mud, and everything you see here is buried below the mud. You can see a beautiful mosaic floral tile floor there. When this place was up and running. Wow. But she lost her head. Because she was walking on the wild side. So, what beautiful photograph is that? See some old jugs from antiquity. I don't mean jugs, I mean, you know what I mean. But there's that antiquitech device. Man, oh man, look at that. What a little ka-ching with that. Bingo. And as you can see, guys, there's ground level. It's mind-blowing. This is the amphitheatre here. All of that is the fields, the ground level. You can see it looks a bit chalky. And they've chopped it all away and dug it all out. It's all in the mud, wasn't it? There's a couple of pillars still laying. Still on the mud, I guess, yeah. The rest are all missing. There's underground stuff, which I guess they would say something's attributed to gladiatorial things, I would guess. Difficult to say. So yeah, this video is coming to an end. This is just me coming back to say hi. I'm back into the driver's seat, bringing you juicage and lots of decodes coming up. There's one I'm saving for the weekend for Flatter Day, which I'm biting at the chomp for. Can't wait to be back live and having fun with you guys in chat, doing wiggly flat fun things. So yeah, mud's coming through here, and these are all tombs. But I bet you they're underground places to hide the apocalypse. Look at the size of them stones. Wonder what they were for, guys. Just dumped there like that. I don't think they moved them. Interesting. Interesting. So we got a Christian church here, or at least Catholic. Let's have a look at that. Zyro. Yeah, indeed. And that looks like it's brick made, and it looks like it's under the amphitheatre. It is. It's a chapel. Christian chapel under the amphitheatre. Bet it wasn't originally. That Zyro up there. And an original Carthaginian statue. I've seen quite a few real pieces of the classical world this weekend when I was in Venice, which was grateful for. Some obelisks. This looks like Venice. This looks just like it. But to be honest, it's not even that far, is it? You just cross over from Tunis, you can zip up the Adriatic to Venice. It's a hop, skip, and jumper, really. Not even that far away. So they would share some styles. But yeah, twisty columns you didn't see in Venice, but these twisty columns, they amplify chi energy and roll it up there. Make that building alive. This was below ground level, obviously. There's the mud. You can see the mud and the brick and everything, stones all above it. They've dug it out. Some old bits of Carthage stonework. Oh, that would be the chapel inside there. Excuse me. A little bit of the classical world there, and a lion, it looks like. Nice decoration on there. A little bit different. It does look rather Greek. But the ancients, the classical world, they're all pretty much the same, aren't they, if you ask me? And that's a Basilica of St. Louis. Oh my God, it really does look like it belongs in America or Mexico or something. Or even in South America, you see these things, don't you? 4 angel technology, though. 1, 2, 3, 4 dome. 1, 2, 3, 4 dome. Yeah, that's a living piece of antiquity right there. It's blackening on the portal there. Maybe that fire's inside. Who even knows? So yeah, there's the amphitheater. As you can see, 2 uses for that in real use. But the pillars are missing, and all of that was below ground level. Somebody took the time to dig it out, and that's a Roman villa. I've got one of them, less than a quarter of a mile away from where I am now. They say it's Roman. This is a fossilized mushroom, or it's a fossilized something else. It does look like something else, a giant something else. But you can step inside, and there's probably a staircase that goes. Silas Romano in Carthage. And there's an interesting looking Arab chap with his chicks, his girls. It looks like they're telling him what to do. Ah, look at that. That's all below ground level as well. Excuse me. One can but wonder. That's what he's doing. He's reading something, it looks like. But they get rid of any major clues in photography. So yeah, that Tartarian building's mad. But all of these half-sunk tunnel entrances all below ground level. Must be massive tunnels, probably their underground system. Ooh, there's that juicy antiquitech building. So yeah, please do feel free to subscribe to my channel, martinliedtke. As I said, I'll be back very soon. There's plenty to look forward to in the scene, and I'm very pleased to be back doing videos. So this is ancient cisterns of De La Malga, but look at that interesting roof they've got. Looks like it's just, I don't know. It's not mud, is it? Can't tell. It's just crazy. Just then cliffs again. I've just seen that one. And there it all is, as you can see. That is there near Tunis, and it is all below ground level. It's been dug out of the mud. I think it's good evidence that all of this was covered in mud in the past. So that's been me for today. Flat Earth British, martinliedtke, live and direct, recording from Wales. I love you all. Make sure to come back very soon for more usage. See you soon.